How are you doing this fine Sunday morning, baby?
Doing great. Feeling good. We got a whole day ahead of us.
Yes, we do. Full day. This is one of those days we had to get going early. Mm-hmm. Early. Why are you doing great?
Well, I had a great vision meeting. Slept really good last night and then had a great vision meeting with you this morning. Beautiful day. Sunshine. I feel like we're on the same page.
Yes, we are. I love that. If my voice sounds a little deep. I've been singing Mr. Blue Sky, ELO. I learned a new song. Man, I'm like, why haven't I learned that on the piano before? But man,
yeah,
I heard
I'm surprised that you haven't.
And it didn't take long. I thought these chords are going to be, Jeff Lynne, he's a genius. And I thought these chords are going to be kind of tricky, but they weren't. They were very straightforward.
Well, let me just say, I love how you have always filled our home with music.
Yep.
And I feel like our kids are filled with music to their core because they heard it in the womb and beyond.
So I'm thinking about one of our listeners. I won't mention his name, but his initials are Jack Young.
Oh, Jack.
And if you're listening, go sit down at your piano and start just hammering an F, 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 F. And this F, 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 E minor, major A to the D minor, and then G, and then back to the E minor, and then A, and then up to the B flat. And then you stay on the B flat and change your bass to a C, and then the natural F, and then back to the B flat with the C bass.
Okay, so all you music
and just go through that, and you're gonna, and I'll tell you the chorus later. But man, that's the verse. We just lost
so many people that are listening.
They tuned out.
They don't know what you're talking about right now.
You can slow it down, back it up.
Speaking,
you're
Greek.
Welcome. Thank me later. It's so cool.
Good job, Jack.
But a lot of minors with some A natural and G. It's really cool. Awesome. All right. So this morning I love it out here. I saw on my morning workout and my walk. So I worked out, did a little grounding, did a little cold plunge, and I was on the mini tramp today doing some rebounding. Mm-hmm. And I saw a rabbit. I saw a roadrunner. I smelled a skunk, unless that was you.
That was not me.
I need to turn that off. So it's cool. Good Nature Day. And
you know what's funny? Can I just bring this up about skunks? So whenever, just so y'all know, Brian usually wakes up before me. There are occasions where I wake up earlier before him, but he usually wakes up before me. That started on our honeymoon when he would go to Burger King in Cayman Islands on the scooter and get me an egg and cheese.
Croissant.
Yes. And bring it back, and I was still just snoozing in bed.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to that in a minute about our honeymoon. So anyway, he kind of loves it. So this morning, whenever I woke up, I thought, I think I smell Brian already making coffee in there. And lo and behold, and actually I do think that he made coffee earlier.
And behold.
But when I walked outside, I got the biggest whiff of a skunk. So this is what I want to say. And I'll tell you, I Googled this. So this is a true story. I don't know why. If anyone understands this phenomenon, tell me. I think Starbucks and skunks smell the same. Now, I don't think that smells bad. I love the smell of Starbucks when I walk in. But I'm just saying, there is a phenomenon where Starbucks coffee smells like, or even just coffee brewing sometimes in the morning, smells like a skunk.
You're not just singling out Starbucks?
I'm not singling out Starbucks. I'm just saying sometimes when we have been driving down the road and I'm like, I smell coffee, and it's a skunk. So
I would love to hear.
I Googled
if you could
it one time, and it sure enough, it came
either
up.
comment on the Spotify. I don't know if you can do that on Apple, but on Spotify and on YouTube, or just DM us or email us. So if you think that Starbucks or coffee brewing smells like a skunk, I can get there. If you think that's crazy, let us know. If you agree, let us know. And are you one of those people that thinks cilantro tastes like soap?
Oh no, sir!
I love cilantro. Matter of fact,
cilantro is the best.
You can't. I mean, you can't have too much cilantro.
So
you
good.
just, I mean, I'm thinking the more the merrier.
So
on cilantro.
something's going on with that, with the whole olfactory. So can we go back really quickly
to the honeymoon?
Our honeymoon when you woke up early and took the moped and drove to Burger King and get a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant for me. And I just knew we were off to a great start. I'm bringing that up because happy anniversary, Mr. Hackney. When this comes out, it will be the next day.
Yeah.
Will be our anniversary.
June 3rd. Happy
36 years.
Okay, so this is the special. You just took the words right out of my mouth. Thank you, and happy anniversary to you. So it's just going to be a special happy anniversary edition. 36 years. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's punt on what I was going to talk about. And let's talk about that. We have to.
Okay, let's do it.
We have to.
Let's do it. This is how we roll, y'all. We have one topic in mind that we sat down to do, and everything just shifted.
We're going to bank it because we are recording. We're recording 2 tomorrow as well.
Yes, I'm excited.
It's going to be fun.
Those.
We have a couple of guest stars coming up. Some good interviews. Be looking forward to that. But I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm doing a no-no. You should never eat a mint.
Yeah, why did you
They were
do
sitting there in my throat. I think I started to say earlier, I was hammering out the Mr. Blue Sky, ELO, and I was singing all that falsetto stuff way too early in the morning. A. B, I don't have a great voice. C, I haven't warmed up. D, I haven't warmed up. And so it was, made me kind of, scratchy. And this
I
mint
thought
feels
maybe
good.
you were just getting verklempt because of our anniversary. Coming up.
I'm going to be verklempt when we go out to eat for our steak dinner for our anniversary celebration.
I'm looking forward to it. Where should we go?
Well,
Y'all
we
give us
love
your suggestions.
We love Cactus Canyon, but Jamie said we've been doing that a lot, and she's right. But that's a celebratory place. You can't
It is.
You can't go there often. Yeah, you can, but you have to go sparingly. And let's see, Maria's Fort Worth. I thought about that, but Jamie said, "Man, I think I'm in the mood for a steak dinner."
We don't ever go out.
We
for
probably
steak.
can't do Monarch. That's a little bit out of the budget.
So
this
good,
year,
though, isn't it?
But I think we're staring down Perry's. What do you think?
Do it, yeah.
And not the Perry's that our son goes to for
The
pizza
pizza
and the sports bar, Parrys. But I think
y'all tell
Perry's,
us your favorite steak places to go.
And Del Frisco, yes, we love it. But
I know that my friend Misty talks about Dakota's in Dallas. They have like it's underground. Anyway,
we used to love Kirby's for just a little bit less of a ordeal, just to go out and.
Speaking of Kirby's, this was a sweet story. It's still there. My mom and dad loved Kirby's, and
is it that old?
After my dad died. My brother Bart, so none of these people are still with us. But after my dad died, my brother Bart on their anniversary would take my mom to Kirby's. Isn't that special?
That's sweet. I didn't know that.
Sorry to womp on our, but
that's okay.
That no one is still no longer with us, my mom, dad, or Bart. But I thought that was such a sweet thing. But we love Kirby's.
So we do love Kirby's. So whatever peppercorn. I can just taste a nice little fillet. I do have to go with a ribeye sometime, but okay. So happy anniversary, baby!
Hey,
got you on my mind. Happy anniversary, baby! Got you on my mind.
That was good.
Yeah. Good harmony, baby. So 36 years. We've been saying 36 years, but it's officially 36 years.
June 3rd.
So we are starting our 37th year of marriage. And we are in it for the long haul after all. So let's do it. So Man, 36 years. Let's just reminisce.
So I think back to those kids that went to the Cayman Islands, which we talked about that the other night.
Like, who picked the Cayman Islands?
Pick Cayman Islands? Because back in the day, now I love to plan trips.
I think about the lady I was staying with at the time. I had graduated. My parents had moved. Sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
So back then, I wasn't as much of the party planner, trip planner, but as I am now. So I'm thinking, did I plan that? I don't. So going to.
I think we thought it sounded good. Hey, Cayman Islands, right? But I think my parents had moved, grew up in DFW. Dad had transferred and they moved. They waited till all their kids were out of college and then, which I appreciated. Then he moved. Close. Anyway, he wanted to get us raised and not rip us away from our friend group and all that. But they had moved, and so I stayed with people that I knew in Dallas, and I did that during some summers, and then I ended up living with a friend and his mom and kind of sister. But not really, because she had...
Suspect.
Well, she was married and had moved out, but they were there all the time. So it was kind of this family affair.
Okay.
And, but yeah, I was living there. And I think they had some travel stuff going on. Travel agent, friend of a travel agent or something like that. And so, yeah, I mean, I could get excited thinking about the Cayman Islands again. But I really wasn't thinking about the island or the room or anything like that. I was thinking, man, this is our honeymoon. So we planned our trip.
Really, really fun trip.
I just remember something about turtles and going to see some kind of turtle farm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Big old sea turtles.
We did go scuba diving where I successfully failed my 24-hour emergency certification.
Well, it's the non-certified diver course.
No, I could not
but it's tough.
Be thrown into the ocean, first of all, carried out by the tide and the current, and eaten up by sharks while trying to hold my breath with this weird contraption. So I failed.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling we were with this group of people. Yeah. They were all passing with flying colors. You were out there just living your best life. And I had to be sent back to the boat and sit there and watch y'all because I failed. I could not do where you throw out the regulator, drown yourself, save your life, get back to the ship. No.
And I hear about these non-certified courses that they do in swimming pools. And I think there was a quick swimming pool portion, but then you quickly went out to the ocean.
Straight to the ocean.
And it wasn't like, Destin waters. And it wasn't, it's not like it was, let's say, what Gulf Shores, Alabama, where it's like 2 feet. Anyway, undertow ocean, beautiful, obviously, but you have to throw the regulator out of your mouth, like over your shoulder, and then do the whole thing where you kind of catch it back behind your back and get it back while blowing bubbles out. Because if you're at 40 feet depth, you have to be blowing, bubbles.
So basically, I was Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible trying to pass this stupid test.
So you didn't get the bends or your lung explode. But that was, it's kind of tough. So you're blowing the bubbles. So then you get the regulator back in your mouth and have to blow it and clear it. But the hard one was while breathing, you had to synchronize, like unsealing your mask and letting your mask fill with water and do the deal where you tilt your head back and right at the right time, pull the mask away from your nose, blow out your nose while still breathing in with your regulator. It's crazy. And then resealing your mask. And that was the part that got you. And you know what? You weren't the only person that did not pass that test.
Yeah. I didn't. No, it was like me and the captain of the ship. Nobody else was up there with me, babe. Oh. Everybody passed but me. And I remember honestly feeling in that moment, is he going to want to keep me?
Well, I'd rather keep you than lose you in the ocean.
Oh, I do remember too. This was scary for me. We had seen, before we went on our honeymoon, we had seen some kind of a Dateline episode where
Scott Peterson, Lacey?
No, that had not happened. You were scared I was? Okay. No. But this couple that had gone down, and it was this mystery because they think maybe he killed her, he crimped it. her hose
Wow.
or something. But she died on their honeymoon.
You do not want to have a crimped hose on your honeymoon. That would be the worst. Wow.
So that was flashing through my mind going, I don't want that to happen. How horrible if we were the next Dateline episode.
So then we go out, and it wasn't you said I'm living my best life. So what happened? I passed the non-certified whatever course, and so I was cleared to go. We were going to a shipwreck called the Ora Verde. I remember that, and it was like 40 feet down, and so. It wasn't, it's not like it's Titanic depth, but it wasn't just, 10 feet of water either. So you could get in problems, I guess, in trouble with your ears, being cleared or whatever. Also, there was a barracuda that was very local to that shipwreck called Snaggletooth. And they said, don't freak out if he comes. And that barracuda came and literally like stuck his nose on my mask. And the instructor's looking at me doing this like thumbs up thing. And I'm looking at him. I've got my thumb up in the air and I'm pooping my, shorts. But like I'd seen those videos of the barracuda just, he just suspended in water 1 second and then boom, the other second, half of your face is gone.
Yeah.
And, but I had no issues with Snaggletooth. But my issue was we got down there and I could not clear one of my ears. And you're down there at the depth, and I keep kind of doing thumbs up, and I'm like, man, I got to clear this ear. And then we're getting down there, and it was so interesting, and it was so cool, and I just wanted to stay. But all of a sudden, I'm hearing this, in one ear, and I'm like, oh.
That sounded like Mr. Blue Sky.
What? Which part? Okay, I want you to recreate which part of the song that sounds like Mr. Blue Sky.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of another song. So long, so... What song?
That's Mr. Blue Sky.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So long, so long. Is that... Oh, wow. Skyrockets in flight, maybe?
Wow, too much
Afternoon
coffee.
Delight?
Too much coffee.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you spiked your coffee.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. So anyway, I couldn't clear my ears. By the time I got up then, man, that afternoon, I was like, oh, man, my ears kind of sore. And then that night, I had a huge headache. Like my ears were hurting.
Wasn't it from a past injury that you had?
I had a headache. Well, I'd had a punctured eardrum once upon a time. But anyway, I don't know what it was from. Yeah, one time I went off a rope swing at New Braunfels and slapped the water with my ear, and but that hurt. And I was taking Advil that night, and that wasn't good. But I remember the Mexican food we had that was kind of weird. It wasn't Tex-Mex for sure. And then that I still remember those white kind of striped shorts and that kind of. Remember those? They were white and it had like a yellow and blue stripe in them. Mm-hmm. And I was called up on the stage to be sawed in half at a magic show.
Oh, yes.
You remember that?
Yes. Oh, my goodness. I haven't thought about that in forever. How funny.
Yep.
Well, that good times and also hard times, I think even started on our honeymoon, which was interesting. And I don't remember, I could not tell you for the life of me what, why, how... Yeah. Anything. I just remember there was trouble in paradise from the get-go.
Yeah.
And thinking, whoa, wait, what
overreactions to things and not putting it together that when I was feeling, you were questioning something and so I'm feeling disrespected or what? I mean, there's so many things, right?
Yeah. Now I think probably anything like that would have happened on a trip would just roll. We've just learned to work through so many. The things aren't there anymore,
right? But yeah, we had to figure it out. And I think about even some couples that I'm seeing right now, and those just the power struggles in the early days, and you don't call them that. You don't feel sometimes like you're struggling to be in power or be the dominant one. Again, contrary to what a lot of people in our culture may think. It's not all about that. It was about when I say being questioned. Oh, she can't question you. No, yeah, of course she can have her opinion and question me and push back and differ and disagree. but it was those moments where I was feeling disrespected because of some, it was just triggering some previous wounds that had never been dealt with or healed. Yeah.
So can we, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you here and say, can we go back? Because I remember it was a while back. I think I posted one of our podcasts. I can't remember what it was, but I mentioned about how we met and about how I asked you out. And I said, should we tell that story sometime on a podcast? And I had 2 people say, yes, please tell us what you're talking about. So can we take it back to even before our honeymoon?
Sure. Absolutely.
To the very, very, very beginning? Okay. So we were at Abilene Christian University, and you were a year ahead of me. It was
class of 1988, baby.
My sophomore year or so. Anyway, it was Sadie Hawkins week in September, where the girls ask out the guys. And my good friend Brandy, I remember, I think I was taking a bath, and she was one of my roommates. She was sitting in there with me, and she said, I have someone that you need to ask out for Sadie Hawkins. He's really cute and he has a really good voice. His name's Brian Hackney. And I was like, game on. This is my week. This is, I can do it this week. And so I got your number.
That was who now?
Brandy Brackney.
So how in the world would Brandy have ever thought
I don't know.
He's got a really good voice?
I don't
She's
know.
like sitting on the front row at Sing Song or what?
Don't know. But somehow Brandy said he's really cute and he has a great voice. So I'm like, okay, I'm created for this moment. Here we go. So I called your house, which basically was full of boys who knows what was happening.
You bet.
But called, left a message. Who knows, probably written on a napkin, thrown away. You never got the message.
Oh, there was no writing on napkins at my house.
I called back and left another message. And then I think between maybe that second time.
Were you getting an answer machine or did someone pick up?
No, someone picked up.
Okay.
And said, sure, I said, would you, I'm calling for Brian Hackney. Would you tell him that Jamie Phillips called? My number's blah, 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 blah. Sure. So anyway, after call number 2 and no call back, I ran into you in the student center. I mean, I just kind of passed by, and you better believe I made that happen. I'm like, I'm going to pass by him, and that will remind him to call me back. Well, I don't think you even knew that I called you in the first place. So you're talking. I passed by you, and I said, hi, Brian. And you said, hey, Lori.
Okay. So I know what everybody's thinking. First of all, it
Lori.
wasn't. Yes, you're right.
Lori?
It was so. Okay. Had we been out yet?
No.
Okay, we hadn't been out.
No.
I remember I had met you, and you had called, and I do think I knew you had called. But I was, hang on, I was talking to my buddy Steve. We were sitting there in the student center, and you walked by, and it wasn't, hi, Lori. It was, oh, hey, Lori. It was that, I paused because I was like, what's her name? And Jamie didn't come, and so out popped Lori, which that's me. I'm just horrible with names.
I know.
And I've done that.
I do know that.
But it's like, oh, my gosh. And then I go, you literally walked by, and I just thought, man, I did. I thought, wow, she's cute. And I leaned over to Steve, and I go, dude, because he was in your class. And I go, what's her name? He goes, Jamie. And I went, oh my gosh.
Okay.
So I knew I had mess number 1 to clean up.
So then I think I called one more time. So 3 times I've called your house.
Stalker.
And somehow I got you, invited you out for Sadie Hawkins. We go to church. I invited you to church on a Sunday morning because the method to my madness was it would be a fun date. We could have lunch. And then also I could hear your great voice that Brandy was talking to me about. So we go to church.
Listen to that tenor.
Oh my goodness. So anyway, you indeed were cute and you indeed had a great voice. So she was.
Did you just say had? Was that past tense?
Has.
No, I heard it. It's on tape.
Okay. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. You were cute and you have a great voice. So we go to church and then we leave there. We start driving and you drive me back to my house. And I'm thinking, wait, the date's not over. And I said, well, should we go like eat or something? And we were like, sure. I didn't know. I think at the time you were thinking, this is your deal. This is your date.
And I didn't want to be,
me on.
Yeah, I didn't want to be presumptuous. That seriously, I was thinking, come on, let's go eat.
Yeah, because that's what you do after church. So you were like, let's go eat. So we go to Town Crier.
Of all places,
the Town Crier. But
it did have,
I like Town Crier.
It had a mean chicken fried steak and those rolls.
Hey,
my God.
I'm not saying if we didn't live in Abilene and there was still Town Crier that we would not go there Tuesday night for our anniversary dinner.
Is there still a Town Crier? One. But I felt like it was just that old fabled Town Crier where people people went there. If people heard this now, they're going to
salads and
yeah, they did.
Okay, so I remember I barely ate because I was just so nervous. But we talked and talked and talked and talked and talked for probably 2.5 hours.
We did talk a lot. Had a lot of rolls.
Had a great date. So we finished that date. We go home.
Sorry, those were Black Hawk helicopters just flew by. That's excellent. Crazy. Yep.
So we go on this great date. You take me home, and I never hear from you again. So that was September. Yay. Then come October. So it's been, a month or, a few weeks. We're in October now. So I was in a social club, which is like a sorority, but at a, Christian university. And it was called Siggy's. And so with Siggy's, we were having a grub and we were supposed to have a date and have this fun party. And we were going to dress up like our favorite it was like an Olympic theme.
Yep.
And so I thought, I need a date and I'm going to ask Brian again. And so here we go again. So I send my friend Lisa. Hey to Lisa.
Way to go, Lisa.
Mm-hmm. Hey to Lisa, who took a balloon to your club.
And I'll never forget this. It's like it was yesterday.
All these guys,
yeah,
she just walks in with these balloons and she's like, I've got a message for Brian Hackney. And she has this whole poem that we've written to invite you to this Olympic grub.
Yeah. And I didn't get ripped by my pledge brothers, by the way. Yeah.
So she does that in front of everyone. So I work with my sister Donna to get these authentic boxing, this whole box, like the gloves, and she knew somebody that was a boxer. And so we dressed up like boxers and it was like authentic shorts, authentic gloves. We wore these tank tops. We looked so great and had the best time at this fun grub that we go to. And then I never hear from you again. Crickets. Do y'all hear this right here? That's what it was like, not hearing from Brian Hackney after the second date that I had invited him on. So then...
But it was... Okay, so...
No, there's no excuse.
No, so first, I pledged... I had some friends in, Sub T. I had some Galaxy. I had some Frauds. Most of my roommates were in Frauds, right? Fraud or Sedals. So I go Frauds, but I'm like, I don't care about club. I don't go. I'm inactive. You are the president of Siggy's. So you hang out with you're the popular girl. You're with the popular kids. You're with the cool crowd. And I'm just kind of, I've got my head down doing school. And... So I go to this grub. I don't know anybody. You're the one. And so you want to talk about crickets. It's that awkward. You're just sitting there. You know how many times I'm sitting there with that, the boxing trunks on, the 2 gloves. How many times I do the little fake uppercut while we're just standing there in line waiting to have our pictures taken. Yeah. So it was just kind of awkward. But, you were definitely... you were awesome. You're cute and funny and sweet and all that.
And I remember, didn't we then go back to our house and we were playing games and you thought I was kind of loud?
At the time, the outgoing part, and it's like, wow, she's witty, she's funny, like she's very popular. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, she has to be the center of attention. Ooh, she's loud. She really, really just goes there.
It's just fun. I was just, I was having fun. And So anyway, I thought we had a great time. Never heard from you again. So that was now September, October. Come November, I need a date for another thing for Siggy's. And this time it's going to be Christmas for Kids or something like that, where we rented out the Abilene Civic Center, and they were bringing some kids over from like a children's home in Abilene. And we were going to like, quote unquote, adopt them for the day and play games and do fun crafts and just some really cool stuff for the day. So I invited you to do that with me on that date. So why don't you tell about that? We had those twins. I think the twins were like Nedra and Fedra or something. I have it written in a journal.
That's funny.
Okay, but anyway,
yes. I remember you saying that a lot back then. Well, and so here's the deal. What I saw you do, those kids, and how you just they were all over you, how you related to them, how you played with them, and how you were just so sweet and like motherly. So I saw the maternal instinct in you that was strong. This natural maternal thing, this nurturing, loving person. And you had always been, like I said, so pretty and just sweet and feminine. That's it. Your feminine energy was so strong. I dated girls who were like kind of jocks or athletes or athletic and kind of strong and tough and just kind of trying to be cool, one of the guys or whatever. But you were smart and funny and all that, but you were so feminine. But then I saw that maternal thing, and I remember it's from that moment on, literally after Christmas for Kids, it was not even like we didn't have to say it out loud. We didn't talk about are we exclusive? Are we just dating each other?
We didn't have to go make it Instagram official.
Yeah, I just knew I'm going to marry this girl. She's my wife. So I had seen everyone. I mean, not everyone. You date girls, but at a certain point in time, maybe ring by spring, you're about to graduate from college, and you're starting to evaluate: could I see this person as a lifelong mate, as a partner, as a wife, as a fiance, whatever? And before that, I would see girls as a girlfriend. That was it, right? And even if you saw, could she be my wife? That was kind of the question. You would go, could they be like wife material? But with you, it was, she could be the mother of my children. That's the first time I'd ever thought that.
Had that thought.
And I'm again, that was just so there. And I just knew I'm done. I'm not dating anybody else. This is my wife right here.
So it took a few, it was almost 3 strikes and you're out. I wonder if I never had heard back from you after November, maybe I would have been done, because I did not grow up asking boys out or calling boys or anything, but something in me, I don't know back. I don't know. I wish I could go back. Sorry. I wish I could go back and revisit, talk to that 20 21? And
I had
that 20 or 21-year-old girl, to see what drove her to keep asking you.
And I had been in long-term relationships with one girl in high school, another girl in high school, and then kind of one in college, and kind of, during a breakout, I'd go to back to my original, but they were always long-term relationships. I wasn't a player. I didn't ever cheat on a girl. I wasn't a player. I wasn't dating around. I would get in these long-term, monogamous relationships, if you will. And then I was in that transition. I wasn't that interested in a couple of girls. I went on grub dates, what they call them, grubs. Kind of when they would ask me out. Honestly, I don't even think I was pursuing anyone. I wasn't looking, wasn't interested. Kind of been, I guess, burned from the whole long-term thing. And it was just kind of, I'm just going to kind of be alone and figure that out. And so when you're talking about that persistence and how locked in you were to the time frame, man, I was just busy during that time, again, doing the school thing. And so it didn't feel like it was all these calls and being pursued. Yeah.
And I wasn't at all feeling
rejected.
Yeah, I didn't really feel rejected, because I think I would have, if my feelings were hurt, I would not have been able to ask you again and then again. Right. There was literally something fueling me to continue, like, just call him.
It's
I felt
called God.
so hopeful.
The providential hand, man.
I felt like
Seriously.
excited and hopeful, not like, you dummy, he hasn't called you back, once or twice or 3 times or 4 times. Like, what are you doing?
You weren't taking no for an answer.
I wasn't, but I didn't feel, first of all, my feelings weren't hurt. And also, I didn't feel desperate. No. I wasn't feeling like I've got to have a date with this guy, or I need to hurry and find my soulmate or my.
No,
it
you,
wasn't
dude,
even.
you had the pick of the litter.
It was literally just for just to have fun. So I wasn't feeling like, oh, I better hurry and find my guy now. Like it was this musical chairs kind of situation, and it did not feel like that at all. I can't explain it. I felt fueled to continue to pursue you, which was so out of my comfort. And then you
talked about talking for hours at Town Crier. And I remember that. But again, some of that awkwardness, just not knowing someone. And I mean, I was okay with, talking to someone I didn't know and socially, being the one to start the conversation or to keep it going or whatever. But it was just that I didn't know you and it was so new. But then after we'd been on several days and after we did Christmas for Kids, then I remember back to the University Hills condo where we're sitting on that couch for hours. And then when you lean in, you made the first move. Again, trying to be a gentleman and be chivalrous and not be presumptuous or just being slow. But man, I was in love. I fell in love with you that night. And then
on the mauve couch.
And then if
that
wasn't enough, then you made me that when you cooked dinner the night, and it was Parmesan chicken and those Parmesan bread,
those rolls
that you made. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Salad. And so, I mean, if people are thinking, man, what an idiot and what a dope and all that. So I actually did then, once I knew I was going to marry this girl, I kicked it into gear. So I graduated in 88. Jamie graduated in 89. So she had a year. And you talk about trouble on the honeymoon. Well, then I remembered the long distance thing. And here you are, you're very popular, you're very social, you're very active. And, guys loved you and you had friends and you had dated before and all that.
Guy friends.
Well, then all of a sudden,
guys loved me.
I'm kind of, that whole thing about being, possessive and feeling like you're mine. And then it starts to go retroactive. And then, hey, who have you been with? And hey, are you going to a party with him there, the guy you had dated before? And who is that I'm hearing? And all that crap because of insecurity, right? So that's where most, I think, of the issues would rear their head because I had been cheated on. And with that betrayal wound, right? That unhealed betrayal wound. Because then you're thinking, if she did it, so could you. And you were, most loyal person on the face of the earth. But the more insidious, I've talked about this lie is, well, there's something wrong with me or they wouldn't have done that. Right. So it's just that identity crap that you just gotten, humiliated and just smashed. And then the ego blow, because nobody had ever done that to me before. And that all was wrapped up in a big old ball of insecurity. And so then I remember one call you probably don't even remember this. You were at some party and you call me and I'm hearing I'm like literally real time. I'm hearing people laughing and this and that. And then, this big deal. And I think you tell me that it was Barbara Mandrell's son was there. And I don't know what he was doing there, but he kissed you. And I was like, what? Yeah. And I mean, I go and you're like, yeah, it's no big deal. There was nothing or whatever. And I mean, I freaked out because that was a fight, right? And so how many stupid things like that?
And I'm thinking that I never did kiss anybody.
Well, somebody kissed you and you told me about it, right? And you were telling me, and I don't know what that was about.
Like maybe on the cheek or something?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But how about that? I still remember.
Wow.
But that was one of the deals that and it's like, okay, we got to work through that. But we did have a really good long distance. I mean, I just knew, like I said, I wasn't interested. So I had my head down. I was working. I had my first job, bought my first car. And I was saving up. I was saving up for that Cayman Island trip, right?
And you know what I thought was so sweet? So when you came back to Fort Worth area and I was still in Abilene, you would go over maybe once or twice a week to see my parents. And you'd go out to eat with like my mom and her friends.
I'd go to church at Richland Hills and then we'd go out to eat. I'm sitting around with your mom and 4 of her biddies and we're at Tippin's Pie Pantry, you know?
I love it.
And
I
would sit there. She'd get her little patty melt and we'd have our French silk pie.
Oh, my goodness.
Man. No,
That's
honestly. And they just treated me with so much love, like I was a son, you know?
Yes, yeah.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
But I was in. And so just patiently waiting for you to graduate. Well, then I called and started working up the little plan, the behind the scenes surprise for the engagement. And I remember Beth and talking to her and some of your other roommates and just getting the whole thing and drove up there in my white Honda Accord.
So proud of
with
that
the
new
white
car.
wheels.
Yes.
Got custom.
Beautiful car.
And had everything set up for a picnic at good old Nelson Park.
Yep.
And had the engagement ring. I'd found a nice diamond. My dad knew this dude who went to Israel and would get these stones over there. So found a nice marquee. And then that cool place called Fanouche Jewelers in Abilene. And they had this setting where the elongated baguettes and kind of that stadium setting for that marquee to be against.
It looked like a
good
bow.
night. Yeah, but looked like a bow.
I love that ring so
It's a great
much.
ring. But anyway, and I had that and I put it in a little a styrofoam container with a piece of cheesecake. So we ate our little dinner and then I pull out the dessert and we're sitting out on this quilt at Nelson Park, you know, and you open up that. I said, "Hey, aren't you going to eat your dessert?" Because I think we were just still gabbing, and finally you reached over for it and opened it up, and I can still remember the look on your face, and I'll never forget. And that fuzzy picture you took, you literally picked up.
You know what's so funny? Yeah, an old like
Kodak.
If you think I
disposable.
overpost now, what would it have been like if I would have had a phone and social media back then? Because I have pictures, and I think they're in that drawer right there of our engagement, where I took a real camera and turned it around backwards and took a selfie with us.
Yeah.
So it was so funny. But, I remember that day. I cried and it was
amazing. Awesome. It was awesome. Yeah.
Amazing.
And so then we have our first year, and we've told the story about the seafoam green carpet at the Ivory Canyon apartments there in Euless, or Useless as I would come to call it. A lot of the ups and downs. And if people don't remember this story, literally where one time and just, you talked to me, you told a story about me saying, I hate stew, and just some of the fights. And I just remember like the night that I put my fist through a picture. So the whole rage thing and anger and that.
And if anybody's wondering, like, what are you talking about? Go back to episodes 1 and 2 of this podcast.
Episodes 1 and 2.
And re-listen. Yep. And you can hear the
if you're jumping in lately.
Deal. So isn't it crazy how we go from just googly-eyed, so in love, and then everything can kind of take a hard
and the differences and we're so different. And then when I felt like your feelings were hurt, and then you would withdraw, and that withdrawal felt like, okay, is this going to be a betrayal? Is this going to be a rejection? Is this going to be leaving? And that was what that was all about. And so then me putting a fist through a picture, throwing jewelry out of a 3rd-story window, cops being called because of us yelling, and you actually throwing things that day that were very loud, and leaving, and literally have cops come in and search the apartment because they were afraid I had hid you somewhere.
Just crazy.
It's insane. It's insane. And when you look at that, and when people, but again, we want to tell that story because it's when I finally said, God, if you're real, I need help. And then called your dad of all people, said, Don, man, I need help. And he saw the potential in me. Instead of judging me and wringing my neck and killing me, he said, man, I know the potential this guy has. He's clueless and he needs help. He needs man school, right? And I had to grow up and I had to mature and become a man. But I couldn't heal what I didn't feel. And I was pushing all that humiliation and that shame down and away. And so it was, somebody helped walk me through that. And then, so you had the marriage counseling that we went to that saved our marriage. And then you and I learning to grow, then having kids, and then obviously losing our son and still parenting and, just going through all the stuff.
Yeah.
And then I guess we talk about 2016 was when I feel like we had gotten to another maybe stalemate
really
on just
low spot.
A lot of resentment that built over the years. And that's really, I think, the culprit. We had stopped communicating very well. You did your thing, I did my thing, and the resentment and some of the patterns. And when those patterns of fighting would come up, you just think, this is who you are, and this is what you do, and this is us. And you either call it quits or it's just going to be like this life sentence of hell, right? And we didn't stop. We didn't quit. And we said, we're not going to do this. We're not going to give up, and we're not going to settle for this is just the way it is. We just kept on trying to push through. And I wanted to know you, and I wanted you to know me. And I wanted to figure that out. I remember my brain chemistry just felt like literally it was off. It was off. And God showed me how to heal it.
I think our last podcast where we talked about the inverted bell curve, of
marital satisfaction.
So we had not just one dip in the very beginning. We've had several dips along the way that we've had to ride out, and I'm so thankful that we never gave up, because I do feel like now we are experiencing, not that we're not going to have any more dips, or not that we're not going to have things that we need to work through, but gosh, I think we are experiencing the gift of staying.
We just started like the friendship. I remember when we were moving, we'd raised our kids. The last was gone to OSU, and we were moving, getting the heck out of Dodge, moving away from Argyle just to, save the money in school taxes. But and property taxes because of the school. But anyway, the friendship, just laughing as we were looking for our new place to live, and just the hours on the road,
we'd
and how
leave work and just go drive around to all these towns in the area,
and just looking forward to being with you, and really my best friend, and we couldn't wait to spend time together and going out to eat or just being home and hanging out. But that, I mean, kids are going to school and buying their first house, finding their first mate, having their kids. We're just enjoying doing that together and experiencing all that stuff together. And that was just solidifying this friendship. But then most recently, I think the most challenging time without question, because we weren't fighting, and we were having fun, and we were appreciating one another, and just feel like we were literally, man, we've grown so much and matured so much. We're just done. We're in a new season. And then we started a long haul marriage. And just the challenge that being so different, and we knew it. Of course we're different. And of course it's going to rear its head. But man, it kind of took us a little bit by surprise, and here we go. And I remember
working together 24/7, like around the clock, working from home together, trying to build this. We had just walked away from 2 paychecks and said goodbye. And so the pressure cooker that was, knowing we've got to make this work, and how it affected you and how it affected me. It was different. And here we are thrown in together to work together 24/7. And then what were you going to say?
Well, and then we both kind of came to the conclusion, hey, if we're going to do a marriage ministry, we should probably be married. So we better fix this.
I don't think going through a divorce as we're starting long haul marriage, it's not good for optics.
It's not a good look. And boy, what that even did, and the strengthening, and man, I am having the time of my life. And
Yeah.
the only regret I have there, which I have very, very few regrets, but is that we didn't start this about 15 years ago.
I know, but I've heard you say that, and I do kind of feel like that too, but I also feel like this was the time.
This is the time.
It's good.
This
and
is the time.
I'm so thankful that you always wanted to work on our marriage. As hard as it got, I knew you were in, and I knew that you loved me. And my heart breaks because I have some friends, and I know you do too, where she wants to desperately save their marriage. She wants to be in it for the long haul,
Sure.
but he's not. And a marriage is two people.
And I have the couples where, again, he's in and she's not. Yeah. And you're right. It is.
Even when it got to the hardest parts of our marriage, we both were still in. We both loved each other. We were just desperate to figure out how to make this work because we could not continue the way that we were the way that we were doing marriage. And so,
and you think about how many factors, again, it's not luck, but man, I feel so, you can say blessed, but man, it's so lucky too. And just so thank you, God, that all the things lined up. I mean, because again, you said two people have to do it and want to do it. And even if you want to, it's so hard. And sometimes it's so hard to recover from, broken trusts. It's hard to recover from regret. It's hard to recover from broken families. It's hard to recover from all of the issues from the past because, sometimes it feels almost impossible. Those wounds, those hurts, some of the trauma and some of the, it's not regrets, but the resentments. That's what I was, trying to say earlier. It's just so hard. And it's just, quote, fraught with peril. There's so many ways it can go off the rails and so many opportunities for the kitchen sink to be thrown back in. And just when you think you've taken 3 steps forward, then it feels like 4 steps back. I get that. I get why people, we were naming all this other stuff. How about addiction, right? How about abuse? There's, gosh,
that's
somebody
why
made
I think we're so passionate about what we do.
Yeah.
Well, I just wake up every day, and I know you do too, just excited to talk about whoever it is and whatever it is, because I feel like we've been through so much and we get how hard and impossible it seems, but just to throw out that lifeline.
Yeah.
And I had a friend
to give them hope.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago said, y'all should, I hope you understand, Jamie, that this is not just long haul marriage. This is long haul life.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't really needing help with just her marriage. We all need help with our marriage, but it just other things in life. And I would agree. We get to talk to people every day. It's not just about marriage. It is a lot of marriage stuff, but it is about living a long haul life of, where you're thriving and living with joy and peace and perspective.
Yeah. And I'm just always sensitive to the people who it didn't turn out. And some people will do this not yet stuff. And maybe, and I get that. And so, I hope there's a yes in your mess and some of your stuff, maybe just around the corner, but to the ones that where maybe the love or the marriage doesn't last, it's over. And man, my heart goes out to you because again, it's so tricky. It's just so difficult. And sometimes it's just doesn't feel like it's in the cards because so many things have to line up. When people say, well, what's the difference? And you said Brian was willing, well, what makes a man willing to repent? What makes one willing to learn? What makes the woman willing to forgive? And to stay and to trust and to hope. It's just that's I think the big deal is I want to give you at least a hope that things can change because we keep saying you didn't quit, but Okay, so you don't
But
quit,
what if-
but
yeah.
you don't want to be in the boxing ring for 40 years.
Right.
You do want things to improve and you want to get to that place.
Yeah.
I mean, all this stuff is about dying to self, and it's
Yeah.
about learning to love someone, and it's not making the list of things that annoy you. It's being grateful, gratitude, and just being thankful. And again, we always say, and expressing that gratitude and being
Yes.
specific. You're going to hear us like a broken record. I mean, those are the ways that you stay in a relationship with anyone.
I love getting to talk to people. I love that every week we're talking to people, not just in marriages, but living after loss. They've lost the dream, they've lost their marriage, they've lost their mate, whatever it is, through death or divorce or just unhappiness, just helping just kind of throw that lifeline out to them and saying, hey, man, we have been there. Even if it's a different scenario, the circumstances may be different, just being able to comfort people with the comfort that we've received. It's that scripture. Where is
Right.
it?
Is it 2 Corinthians 1?
Maybe
4?
so. But anyway,
4:1?
so
Something.
grateful
We'll look
that
it up.
we are getting to
Maybe
do
1 Corinthians.
what we do because of where we've been, all
Well,
through our marriage and through. So
I'm so glad you brought that up. We are passionate about it, and
Yeah.
I love talking with couples. I just love it, and just trying to help. With least judgmental people on the planet, because we've been there. We just want to help if we can. So, baby, happy anniversary! Here's to
happy
36 more.
anniversary. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers with my empty coffee cup. I love you.
Love you,
Love
babe.
you so much. Happy 36.